So this is Andrew Youngkin, and he is the Emerging Technologies and Evaluation Coordinator at the Southeastern Atlantic Region of the National Network of Libraries of Medicine at the Health Sciences and Human Services Library at the University of Maryland, Baltimore. That's a very long title.
Can you do me any favors by giving it?
Right. So in this role, Andrew provides on-site and online training on various emerging technologies and strategies for effective assessment as it applies to the range of library environments. He is active in national and regional chapters of the Medical Library Association. So I'm just going to turn it over to Andrew. Thank you.
Thanks for being here, everyone. Nice to be here. Nice to be this is my first conference, my first time at MSU, and it's been a great couple of days so far. So without further ado, we'll just jump into it. Today's presentation will be on augmented reality. My goal here is not to really represent all augmented reality technologies, just sort of give you a snapshot of the different types of things that are out there. Some may be relevant next year, some may not be. Some of them will definitely be. So we're just going to do a snapshot and just to discuss some of the ones that are out there right now. The other thing is I've numbered them 1 through 10 so I don't lose track of how many I'm talking about, but that doesn't really indicate or shouldn't imply that I have a favorite or it's not a ranking really, so don't be confused that way. So what is augmented reality? So augmented reality, not to be confused with virtual reality, is a way of layering, providing a layer of information on top of your surroundings, what actually is in real life. Not unlike a pilot's cockpit here, where the cockpit glass or the display in front of the pilot provides different information about the plane, about the flight, things like that, with the backdrop of the sky behind it, right? But it is different than virtual reality. Virtual reality being computer simulated. A lot of times when people hear augmented reality, they think Second Life, and I would probably say Second Life is more virtual reality than augmented reality. But we'll talk more about what augmented reality is here by going through some of these examples. So you've probably seen in movies, augmented reality is sort of kind of simulated. Here's the Terminator movie with this different information on top of the display of Arnold Schwarzenegger's character. And then if you watch sports, you've seen what sort of seems like augmented reality as well. With NFL here providing you different information about the line of scrimmage, the score, things like that about the players. And of course NASCAR with different information about the cars. So instead of just watching the cars on TV, you're going to be given this information about the drivers and how fast they're going and what's going on with the cars, etc. Of course, if this is not augmented reality because you're looking at it through TV. However, if you were sitting in the race stands or you're sitting at the NFL game and you're seeing this information somehow, say through a mobile device or through goggles, that would be augmented reality. So this is an example here of using a mobile device to provide that information augmented or layered on top of what reality is. So this mobile device is being held against the skyline, giving additional information, really providing depth to that surrounding environment. So, and I think that as we go through these different technologies today, you'll kind of see that how things are being used. That augmented reality will sort of is up and coming. I think it'll be involved in the way we work, the way we live, and we'll be seeing much more of it in years to come. But just before I go into all the really cool stuff, let me just put it in perspective a little bit, okay? So I chose augmented reality. It's a very new technology, 2009, 2010, so it's only a couple years old. It's actually been recently referred to as the 8th mass medium. So the previous mass medium, the 7th mass medium, was in, let's see, in 1998 was mobile. Before that, 1992, the internet. So whoever's naming these mass mediums really thinks augmented reality is a big deal. And so we'll sort of talk about more of that here in a minute. So at 5 million users of augmented reality applications, some of the things that we're going to talk about today is something that we're not talking about today. It's expected to be 1 billion in 2020. follow the same growth model of usability that mobile media has. So smartphone usage, any sort of mobile media, whether that's Facebook on your mobile device, or playing Angry Birds, or Twitter, things like that, mobile media. It's going to have the same growth scale. So by the end of the century, be 1 billion users. And to put that in perspective, 1 billion is twice the number of newspaper subscriptions today. There's 450 million newspaper subscriptions today. So why is this happening? Increased mobility, increased smartphone usage, increased mobile media usage will increase the usage of augmented reality. So there's a distinct connection between those two technologies. Okay, so the first one that we're going to talk about is called Spyglass. Now, Spyglass is one of the few that we'll talk about today that actually has a price tag on it. I tried to pick a lot of them that didn't have a price tag. This is $3.99, but you can actually get a lot with this. It's not just what the display shows here. Okay, so what else I want to tell you before we look at it? The reason I start with this is because it's a good introduction to what augmented reality could be. Similar to maybe that pilot, the window with the airplane. This displays navigational information, directional information. Basically, it provides you a few different compass interfaces. It also provides you with the ability to measure objects from far away, rangefinders. I do a lot of outdoor stuff. Of course, this is going to be great if you're into the outdoors, things like that. But in technology, it's also been used to sort of understand, how to set up a Wi-Fi network, or how to set up satellite points, things like that, so that you can measure distances between things and so forth. So I want to show it to you. Let me shrink this a little bit. So what we have here is basically it's a compass only onto the reality. So it's not as cool as if we were outside next to the mountains in a national park, or next to a river, or looking at wildlife and things like that. But you sort of get the impression of what sort of things it can do. Now I can't go into all the different features of the calculations and different things that it can do. But if you're interested in this sort of thing, I would encourage you to check it out. The other thing that it does, if you aim it towards the ground, it'll give you information about where you are as a map. And of course, this is, if you're in the woods and you have a tendency to get lost, or in a survival situation, that's very useful information to have. So, but the thing is, this does rely on GPS and internet signals, or Wi-Fi signals. So we'll close that. We'll switch back over to the PowerPoint. Second one is called Layer. Layer, if you've heard about augmented reality, you may recognize Layer as one of the names that augmented reality sort of has made this come about. I have the app here on my iPad. I also want to show you if it works. I want to show you a quick video because, again, it's sort of a technology that works well outside, in an urban setting specifically. So I just want to show you a quick promotional video that Layer did in 2011. And our video may or may not work. Let me just see.
Layer is a platform where everybody can create their own fantastic augmented reality experiences.
Augmented reality is a new mass media. It's where the real world.
And it's okay that the video doesn't work, because that's really all I want to show you with some of these screenshots and some of this, some of the idea behind giving you that ability to pull information out of the physical objects that are, in that space. It's sort of a touchy-feely video. We don't need to really go into it, but I want to show you sort of how it works here in the room, and give you an impression of how it's supposed to work outside. So this, I've opened up Layer. Let's see. Switch. And Layer allows you to basically specify different channels of information, whether that's people's Twitter accounts, whether that's photos that people post online, whether that's Yelp, and you want to understand where the next restaurant is, or read reviews. If you want other information about your area. So. Okay, it's not going to play. Basically, you'll see here that I can select, art, architecture, education, and these are specific channels, or actually they're actually miniature apps within the Layer application that people have developed about content. So just to give you an example, I've chosen just some favorites that I found that work well for demonstration purposes. The first one, we can just go to Foursquare. So if you do Foursquare, I don't do Foursquare, but you can check in at different geographic locations and become the mayor of the 7-Eleven if you want. I don't do Foursquare, but so I'm holding it up, and you can see as I turn around and get different directional information. So each of those icons represents an actual physical location somewhere out around our surrounding area. So instead of me Googling restaurants or Googling Foursquare in Starkville, I can just do this. And let's just say, I want that one. That's a library elevator. You can check in at the library elevator. I actually haven't done this until just now, so let's see. Carpenter Hall, drill field. So of course these are things that are on campus here. So and what you're able to do is say that we go, okay, well it's Einstein Brothers Bagels. Let's go ahead. That's where we want to go. We'll go ahead and check in there. How do we get there? I can click on take me there. It'll pull up my map. A little bit. And it'll go ahead and give me information about how to get there, give me directions. It can't give me directions right now like this. So, but that ability is there. So again, think of Layer as a way of pulling that information out about, you're going to get a lot of commercials on specific channels, and other channels you're not. You can also look at museums, you can look at libraries. Actually, I'm going to show you really quickly. There's one channel on here called Local Book Search. And this is going to pull bookstores, libraries, newsstands, things like that. Things where you can get things to read. So, and I selected that it's 3-mile radius, 5 points of interest. You see these blue dots that are popping up here, and that indicates something. So some of you that maybe are local understand more about where these places might be, but I'm not local. So the bookmark is actually it's saying it's in Michigan. So okay, there we go. So the Starkville Public Library. So if that's what I want to see, I can go ahead and click on my dot here, and then I can call it. I can look at the website, or I can go ahead and get walking directions to that, walking or guided directions. So you're getting a little bit of an impression of what augmented reality is and how it might be different than virtual reality and some of the other technologies. That's just one type of augmented reality. I know we're going fast. We have lots of different technologies, but I'm going to save time at the end for questions and do my best then to answer questions if there are any. So our next one is called Tagwhat, and this works a lot like Layer does. Tagwhat works off of stories, so other users' experience. There's a social component to this. This one has a video too, and this video works. So I wanted to show you the video really quickly to see how it works, and I will show you quickly what the application looks like when you open it. But again, we're inside. It's not going to work as great as it would, but it provides you different channels of not just commercial places, but also cultural and historical significant areas as well.
Ever wonder what your street looked like 50 years ago? Or what inspired the chef at your favorite restaurant? To combine fried chicken with waffles? How about the story behind that strange-looking sculpture you pass on your way to work? Every day, you pass by millions of stories hidden just beneath the surface of the world. Tagwhat tells them right before your eyes. All you have to do is hold up your mobile. Tagwhat is a world of originally produced and curated stories that appear as tags against the backdrop of your real life. With different channels like movies, sports, music, and history, you can explore your surroundings the way you like, no matter what your taste. And Tagwhat tells you what stories are nearby, so you can pick what to enjoy.
So it also offers different things as far as like when sending yourself a postcard from a specific place. You can do that with this application. Again, it's a social application. You're using other people's opinions, other people's did you know sort of information about different places, and then it's going to provide information for you, just like the layer is going to provide directional information for you. So this is what the Tagwhat interface looks like, and it's going to provide. I'm not going to show you the reality version of it, but you'll see that it's already popping up some different things that are in the area that I might be interested in, and whether I want to post a story about that particular place or read about that particular place. And again, it's based on my position here geographically. Okay, so think about Tagwhat and Layer and how that works. And this is actually an application called 110 Stories. So also works, it's not just 110 stories, it's not just the name, but actually incorporates a story component to it as well. The reason I showed this, not because it's a great one for us, any of us outside of New York City to use, but because it shows how a specific application or a specific purpose can be used, and augmented reality can be that tool to make it happen. Basically, this application allows a person within 40 miles of Manhattan to see the skyline, how it might have looked with the Twin Towers prior to the events of 9/11. And you see a picture there of the Twin Towers. Looks like he's crossed the river in New Jersey. What he did was he built models of what they look like and took pictures. I think it cost about $35,000 for this app to be developed for Apple devices. They're working on an Android device right now. But you're like, oh, well, so what? But the cool thing about this is it not only provides that perspective if you're in the city to see kind of what it looks like, but it also allows people to take pictures and then post their stories like, I remember growing up with the Twin Towers in the skyline, meant so much to me, and then they're not there, and people still have some psychological things to work through, and this is part of his motivation behind developing this sort of thing. So these are some examples of actual photos that users have taken, and you can see that they're all different vantage points. Right beneath the Twin Towers, at Ground Zero, across from Brooklyn, in New Jersey, and from several miles away. So again, this is an example of not necessarily an app that all of us could use, but it's a very New York specific app. But I'm just showing it to you so you can understand what augmented reality can provide, and why it's not just a neat perspective on your environment, but it also allows people to connect through that technology. Skywalk. Has anybody used Skywalk before?
I've used Starwalk.
Starwalk.
Yeah, not
That's what I
Skywalk.
used too.
Yeah, sorry.
That's not spelled correctly. So the app is called Skywalk. Sorry, Starwalk. There's also a second one called Solarwalk, which is based on the planets and the sun. So this basically, as you can maybe imagine, this augments the night sky. looking at the stars, but I don't know anything about astronomy, so this is very, very helpful. And you'll see that there's names of stars, there's names of constellations, the planets, different directions. There's also planetary orbits. Comes with some cool space music. Can be turned on or off. There's some other additional features there as well. This is a free app. Right, no, it's $1.99, one of my paid applications. But it's a lot of fun to play with. The other thing that you can do is you can actually take pictures of the night sky. So you can take a picture of the night sky out, outside of your back porch or wherever, and provide a perspective of that information on top of the sky in a particular area. So. The other thing that you can do that I didn't show you is you can actually select planets, the stars, or the satellites that are out there. The Hubble telescope, the even man-made things that are out in space right now. You can provide information on that. You click on the object, and it gives you additional information. I think it's pulled from Wikipedia. So, but it also, like again, for someone like me who doesn't know anything about astronomy, not just seeing that stuff is great, but also getting that additional information. And I have 2 small kids, so we can have a lot of fun with that. Next application is called WordLens. Okay, we're 25 minutes into it. Okay, so we're on number 6, and it's called WordLens. So WordLens is not a free app either. It actually is intended to allow the user to point their device at some sort of at wording, and provides a translation. So if you're traveling to a foreign country and the language is Spanish and you're seeing signs and you want to revert that to English or vice versa, you're able to hold your device towards that sign and get a different perspective. I haven't downloaded the paid version. I've downloaded the demo version. The demo version allows me to either erase text or reverse text. So we're going to do that. So, pull up WordLens. And I'm going to put these side by side so you can kind of see the no other trickery here. Not that you would have accused me of such things. But what I'm going to do is I have my tablet here. I'm going to aim this at the next slide, actually. So I have created a slide, technology in libraries, and just to show you what this application can do. Again, this is not what you'd really be doing with it, but you'd be selecting a language conversion to do. So I'm going to zoom in on that. And it needs to be a certain distance away. Hold it steady. And it's reversed, the text. So if you need to do this, I mean, they only have like French to English, English to French, and they have Spanish to English. Each version is $4.99. But the idea is where this is going is that you could really travel to all sorts of countries and be able to see a sign for ATM, see a sign for currency conversion, see a sign for a restaurant, things like that. So so I'll switch it to reversing the words. Notice erasing the words here. And on my screen, it's going to erase them. And it's a little bit confused because I'm looking at the computer screen. There's other graphics and things like that there that's trying to focus on and erase those words too. So usually you need to be looking at a sign or a piece of paper, things like that. So I have found that about the app, that you sort of need to focus in on, make it easy for the application. If it's on a page full of words, it's going to get sort of confused.
Can you potentially read a book in a different language with that, or?
Like I said, I think that I haven't tried it with the actual application with the conversion application. But when I use the demo versions, like on a piece of paper with all English, it does a lot of that jumping back and forth. So I don't know if it would be something that you want to actually do a lot of reading with. I think that if you needed to, you were in a situation where you wanted information about something in a different language, then it provides that purpose, for that time period. But if this was developed for something with, we'll talk about it here at the end of the presentation, with like goggles or glasses, things like that, I don't see what you all you have to do is make sure that text is in front of you at a certain distance. So, but theoretically, I think that's potential. So, has anybody used Google Goggles? Where you take the picture, of something, send it to the Google search engine, and it doesn't search words for you, but it searches an image for you, and then it gives you information about that image. For example, here, someone's taking a picture. It's a graphic, but that's on a candy bar. Okay, and then they've received these web results on their mobile phone about that candy bar, that company, those things. I have the app. I have this on here. If you have the Google search app on your device, it has the goggles feature to it as well. So it's easy as selecting the feature, pointing, aiming, taking the picture, and then sending that into the search engine, and it provides the search results that way. The reason I show this to you, it's not because we're going to talk about that. See, I'm sneaking in a couple extra for you. So number 7 is called Leaf Snap. And Leaf Snap provides the same sort of ability as, let's say, Google Goggles do. So you can take a picture and do a search. Well, Leaf Snap, as you may have guessed, allows you to do that by taking pictures of leaves. So it's an identification application. So specifically leaves of trees, leaves of random weeds on the ground, or dead leaves, or it's not a perfect application, but it can do some cool things, and I think it's going to go some places. So here I've actually went to my backyard. I picked a bunch of leaves out. I actually brought the leaves with me, and I have one of the leaves here that I want to show you kind of how it works. And out of the 8 or 10 different leaves that I found, most of them I was able to identify. At first I was sort of disappointed. I thought I could just take a picture of a leaf and it would just say, that's what it is. It's sassafras, it's popular tree, it's maple, but it doesn't do that. It gives us some suggestions. So you still have to think, actually. I was disappointed, but and that's okay. But again, this is a really cool learning tool, and it really allows you to sort of get a lot of information about your surroundings. So just want to go ahead and demonstrate this. So you see, go ahead, and you see that I'm using a white background. That's sort of, that's another maybe a drawback on this. Because you can't really just go to the leaves and the trees and start taking pictures. I think it's going to get confused. So I'm just going to hit the snap it button. It's going to take just a few seconds to upload. And what it's doing is it's uploading to Leaf Snap, and it's going to search my image against their database of different leaves. The cool thing, and you see on the side here, on the left-hand side, these are images that I've taken, that I took at home, and that I collected and identified most of those as, American holly or pine oak, things like that. And then if I were to go into those, I could also get some additional identifying information about other types of images. So if I go to my pine oak image, I can select that. And I can see that that's what they look like together. That's what the back of the leaf looks like. It provides a flower like that. That's the fruit or an acorn. So it helps me sort of bring that information together and identify it that way. And then I can put the label on it based on, whether I say, okay, I think that's exactly what it is based on that information. But it's not perfect. It doesn't give me every single leaf that's ever out there. It does give me suggestions based on my GPS. So most different suggestions. And so based on those suggestions, I can go through, look at the leads, and then select this. We're not going to wait for this to finish uploading. Okay, we will. And then to upload it, and then it's loading the results. Okay, here's my results based on the shape of the leaf and how it outlined. Top is my leaf, both against black and against white. The first one it shows me is sassafras. And that's the leaf that it gives me. That's kind of the leaf it looks like. And I know that this is sassafras. So I can go ahead and say, this is sassafras. I go back to my collection. I swipe right there. I can go ahead and label that. And then I can go into it and I can say that the sassafras was in a specific geographic location. So other users can actually go in and search for plants within a certain area and look at the users' plants that they've identified. So again, this is a very specific application. I show it because it kind of shows different things that may happen, things it could be. So. Okay, we're moving through them here. Okay, so another quick video, because the next few apps that we're going to talk about use 3D models. So it brings 3D models into reality, into real space, and uses that. This is a company that's developed an app and it's showing a 3D model of human anatomy after the commercial.
You could stain your roommate instead of you.
Cool.
And it is sort of tad squeamish, so if you it's showing a medical procedure a little bit. But you can see that they're overlaying that anatomy on top of an actual person just having a medical procedure done, and that's the idea behind this app. I can't have this app. I don't know that because I'm not a medical provider, but it's intended to be used in medicine, by the bedside. And I showed as a real world description of bringing 3D into reality here. So let me go ahead and come back. So the first application I want to show you is so this is an image. String is the name of the application. Now what String does, it allows the next application is going to allow you to do it. This just provides you with some printout options. You can go to the website, you can print this off, 3 or 4 other ones you can print off. But basically what it is, it's an image that has an embedded trigger inside of it. So when your device is pointed towards that particular image, it provides additional content. I'll show you that. Okay, we're going to get rid of the snap that. And this is String. I'm going to pull up String. And I have a picture. I'm wondering why this is in the newspaper. So I have the same image here that I showed that on my slide. So I'm just going to put that down there. And I'm going to use my iPad to project over there where the picture is. So that's basically the picture that they created at the company at String. They've embedded that particular 3D image into it. So String allows you to sort of play around with it. But the next application that's another example of a 3D image that pops out of that the same way. The next one that I'm probably the most excited about because it actually allows you to sort of create something like that. So String was more of an example, but what I did was there's a few different augmented realities that we talked about. And it doesn't think about it like Layer does, where it provides you that information, you know, in real life. But it also allows you to do what String has done, where it places additional content within a print medium or a physical medium. As I do this, think about this, you know, providing additional content in a print resource like a newspaper or a portrait on the wall or a document. So, so I'm going to show you I'm going to show you an example of what I've done, and then I'm going to actually we're going to go through the steps and do another one. So. So this is and the app is Erasmus Lite, and these apps are free. And I grabbed my USA Today from yesterday morning, and you see Gabby is golden on the front page. So that picture there, I decided to provide additional content for somebody, and if you think about it, publishers can quickly do this, and they'll be doing this as this becomes more popular. So I've gone ahead and set it up, pointed at my image. And so I've embedded a video into that target image, so that instead of just seeing the picture, say, oh, is there a video that goes along with this? And then I go ahead and put that on there, and it goes in and pops up through my mobile device. So, and it's just a video pretty much telling me exactly what the article probably tells me. The way that this is done is actually, I've uploaded that video from a service called LinkX, which is a lot like YouTube, but it's a video hosting service. So I can also shoot my own videos and actually put my own videos into there as well. So, so let's just say that I want to go ahead and create. So what I want to create. Go ahead and you see at the very top left-hand corner there's a plus sign with the camera. Okay, it's going to go ahead and say, let's go ahead and create one, and it's going to ask me, basically, it's asking me to take a picture of something that I want to create as my target image. I don't know what I want to do, so I will go ahead and do the clock. And you see that there's a little bar on the side on the very lower left-hand corner. It tells me if it's green or red. Green means it's a good image. Red means it's no good. It won't work. So I'm on green. I think that will work. So now I'm taking my picture. Now it says, okay, so what content do you want to pull forward once that picture is identified? It gives me some examples that the software allows me to put in. It's loaded these stock 3D examples of fun, weird things, and I can do that. Or I can actually select a video or a picture from my device as well. So if I want to have some people be able to point at the clock and get a picture of my kids, then I can just pull one of my pictures off my iPad and put that in there. So and you'll see there to the BlinkX video. I'm not sure why you uses BlinkX. Maybe it's a European service, but it uses BlinkX on YouTube. And you're also able to search for images or 3D. And then again, I can select that I don't want any of the Erasmus content. I want my own content. And then I can just select my iPad. And then my video, let's see, I can just select a video from like my photo gallery here. So I'm just going to select one of these stock images just for sake of brevity. And I've never seen this before. This is the trigger image. This is animated. Wants me to name it, and this is what it's going to look like. So if I were to point, those processing is, and that might take just a few seconds. So, but basically, it's going to show me what if I were to have this aura, A-U-R-A, short, just like the name of the company. I create an aura of the clock. Someone wants to point their device towards the clock, and they get some sort of 3D or video or image, something like that, some additional content. If you think about using this in libraries, I'm sure there's other applications you can think of to provide that additional content to to provide that electronic content that perhaps is stored off-site, is stored in a database. There's video that's maybe a free video through the Library of Congress or from National Library of Medicine that you can pull into a print health resource and allow the viewer, maybe it's out of a textbook, maybe it's a portrait. Museums in Washington, D.C. are doing augmented reality like this so that people can point their devices towards photos or portraits and get additional information about that art. I'm not going to wait for this anymore, but you get the impression I did the same thing as I just did with the newspaper. I put a video into the newspaper, or what it seems like I put the video into the newspaper. So the 10th augmented reality that we're talking about is going to be is wearable display, and this is more of a thing coming, although there's been prototypes before. But this is the Google Glass project that you've heard about. This. And you can watch this video when you just Google Glasses project on YouTube. And basically, this is going to provide a lot of that same augmented reality information that's going to be Google specific on this video. You see as the person's going through their day, get additional temperature information, get information about where things are located in perspective to where they are, whether they're walking, where they want to go. This guy wants to go to the bookstore, he gets actual directions in front of him. He's wearing these glasses that provide that display. The cool thing about this is he's doing all this hands-on. So instead of going through the city
in front of
like this, he just has his glasses on and he's seeing everything. And you'll see that he's giving some examples of, he actually interacts with his social network. He said, go ahead and you can have a video conference with the person right there on your display. You can tweet from your like voice recognition. So a lot of the same things that I've showed you with these other augmented reality applications can be done with voice recognition through these wearable displays. So once we have more time, go ahead and take a look at that video if you haven't seen it already. It's the commercial video for that. It's sort of a new thing. The prototype for these glasses is available for sale for actually app developers for $1,500. So I'm not sure how much they're going to cost once they come out for the general public. But I just want to show you another example of wearable display. This is a company that's developed glasses that are specific for athletes who want that additional information about how fast they're going, how what their heart rate is, how many calories they burn, things like that. I'm not going to show you this. You can take a look at this on your own. But what this is a video. These augmented reality glasses, these wearable displays, are being developed for EMS workers and firefighters to use them when they're putting out fires, they're burning buildings, they're with other people, other firefighters need to communicate. They're able to actually see hazards. How hot is that area over there? What's the nearest escape route in this building? Where are my other team members? How do I get a hold of them? Are there any toxic substances in this particular area on the other side of that door? They can see that through their augmented vision. So, and that display is going to be built into that firefighter mask. So this is also being developed for police officers and the military as well. So where we go beyond the wearable display. This is a prototype of what it may look like once it's built into the dashboard of the car. That you can have that that directional information built into the windshield, built into that display. We'll also see as sensors and displays become more and more prevalent and around us, it'll also sort of change the walls and the things that we see within our work and our home settings as well. So look to see those things that come about as well. So these are our 10 AR technologies that we've discovered today. So implications that I would see as far as going forward, there's, if you've read the 2012 Horizon report for higher education, technology in higher education, it talks about
Aura Soma, with, you said the Smithsonian is using it, for example. Is that when a person would point their device at the actual portrait in the museum or an image on the web?
The actual portrait.
The portrait in the museum. How do they do that?
Okay, so they're going to create their aura, the AURA. They're going to, actually the museum would create that.
All right.
And they would also say that it's for this image, this picture, at this particular geographic location in the museum. So they couldn't do it on a replica. Maybe they could, maybe they set it up that way, but if they wanted it just for users in the museum to have that augmented experience, the museum would create that portrait as a trigger image, and it would sort of come alive. If you want to look at it, search Orasma, search, they did a TED Talk, one of the developers did a TED Talk, and they actually used a portrait there on stage, and they point towards the portrait, and it's a picture, it's a portrait of a person, maybe it's a little waist-off shot, and the actual person comes alive and starts talking and things like that. So it's pretty wild stuff. But think about, that's really engaging for all audiences. But again, I always come back to my kids. I think that when you reach out to different populations like that will engage them, it provides a different experience for a museum or a library, or it really brings that content out.
So the trigger has to be a photo of the portrait on the wall.
Yeah.
And then when you hold your device, it matches it to that portrait and makes...
So as a creator, I would take a photo of the portrait on the wall,
okay.
and then I would create that and say, put whatever digital 3D content or video that I wanted in there, and then someone coming along would pull up their Erasmus app, focus on that particular portrait, and then that would come through their display. So there's two different components, as a creator and as a user. So, and then, like I said, you could place that as an anywhere aura, or you could place it as a specific geographic aura. So if it's of a building, or if it's of something that's very location specific, like the actual portrait in the museum, then you're going to want to do a location specific aura. Or you can just do one of the clock. So anytime someone goes to a clock, they get to see whatever content that I put into that clock. So.
Will there be conflicts between, obviously you just took the cover of the USA Today from yesterday, but if someone else wanted that image too and put up a different video, would...
Sure. I think there's going to be all sorts of things to think about regarding privacy and copyright and usability and things like that. So if I were a publisher and the publisher is going to get into doing this, and so that users can use their tablets to see that sort of content. But
you see a Barack Obama sign on the street,
yep.
and you hold up your iPad to it and it plays a Mitt Romney video or something like that. I feel like you get a lot of overlap and conflict.
I'm not sure, but it seems like those people